Howdy folks, George Shively, South Shore Marine Electronics with you on a new project here. This is a 2041 foot Tiara that we are getting ready to work on. As you can see, there's some really old stuff on here. Ray Pilot 650 on the far side there, a Tridata repeater. Back in the days when we were all going to use home computers for our navigation and put a big display in our boat, and the old R80 radar, monochrome radar there on the port side, all that'll be gone. We'll make a plate as we have done in the past, cover it all up, and we're going to cut in some new Furuno TZ Touch 2 systems. The VHF radio was mounted down there where you see the wires coming out, which was problematic because it really impeded the helm on the Tiara from tipping forward, which is a wonderful feature on the Tiara, but when you impede it, it's not so great. So anyway, just kind of want to show you what we're working with here. And as we progress, of course, we'll check back with you and show you what we've done. So stay tuned. Howdy folks, back with you. I wanted to show you something that we find occasionally when we're working on boats that have not been professionally done. Maybe a little bit hard to see here, but that is a circuit breaker that is just kind of laying on top of a bunch of wiring. Has some clipped wires on it, and a piece of tape over the top of the trying to keep some light here, so bear with me for a minute. Working in a relatively dark space here. There we go. Got some tape over the circuit breaker toggle, which probably wouldn't affect anything because it would still trip, but there, I mean, just a circuit breaker just kind of laying in with all the other wiring. I mean, folks, you just don't do this. You just don't. Yeah, it may work, but there's a right and there's a wrong way, and this isn't the right way. So just proceeding in the back of the helm right now. We've got the old radar out. We're in the process of getting the old monitor out. We're going to take the pilot out and the Tridata out, and then we're going to measure up what we need for the new plate that goes on the front side, so we can mount the new gear and not only have it look good, but have it be technically correct from a wiring standpoint, which is somewhat important. And all of this stuff down here that's hanging and not secured properly, and obviously not original Tiara or original anyone who cared about what they did work, will be gone, and we'll show you what it looks like when we're a little bit further into the project. So again, stay tuned. Howdy folks, back with you here. I've made some progress and wanted to show you what the inside of the helm looks like right now. If you'll notice, I mean, Tiara does just a wonderful job of wiring their helms. Everything is neat, clean, organized, and not just a errant pile of wires which one would never be able to sort out if they had to. So this is how things should look even after things are done. I mean, obviously there's going to be additional wiring and boxes and things like that, but it should remain this neat. You come up to where the negative bus bar is, and you know, there's not a mess of wiring. It's just neat, which is how Tiara originally built the boat, and how certainly we will leave it. But this is how things should look. As I said, a little bit more wiring when we're done, but this is how they should look. There's the view of the back of the helm with everything removed. So again, just kind of showing you how we're making a little bit of progress here and trying to clean up before we start adding more infrastructure. Because if the wire serves no purpose, you get it off the boat. You don't leave it. The only time I do leave wiring is if you see right down there, there are old transducer wires, and those transducers are not going to be coming out of the hull, so with the two white ties around it. So I leave those here so that in the event, unlikely but possible, that they would want to be reused, they can be. But everything else is gone. So that again, it's neat and clean, and if there is a problem going forward, either myself or another person, if the boat is traveling, will be able to easily identify it and rectify it quickly. Very important. Stay tuned. Howdy folks, George Shively back with you. Just kind of want to show you the new canvas there that is going to be our new helm fascia on the 41 Tiara. Nice piece of aluminum. We'll get that all dialed in and smoothed out, and edges detailed, and all the new gear cut in and painted Tiara gray, and it will look beautiful. So from the old to the new, we're making progress here. So a lot of our wires are already inside the helm, and we're going to be working on the radar and depth sounder units here respectively. So just kind of wanted to give you a view of what that's going to look like before we start working a little magic on it. So stay tuned. Hi folks, back with you. Just wanted to show you what the initial layout's going to look like. This is pending customer approval, but I think this is going to work out real well. The two TZ Touch 2 displays, one on either side, port and starboard side, autopilot display there in the center, below that an FI-70 data repeater, and then to the right of that, the rectangular device is going to be the remote control. It's a wired remote control, but it allows you to do some function control of the displays if you're in real rough water and you don't want to use the touchpads, or the touch screens rather. So the VHF radio is not going to fit up there, so we're going to suggest to the owner that we move the ACR display from where it is over to where the autopilot breaker is, which we will not need. That was a famous thing that you'd see when they were using old ray pilots, which was on this boat. So the point pad can come over here and get rid of that, which we don't need. The VHF radio can go there, and the microphone is going to go somewhere down lower on the helm here, maybe over to the starboard side. But just wanted to give kind of an overall look here of how things are probably going to shape up here very shortly. Get that panel cut out, and then we can get that to paint and get it installed on the boat. Got the radar installed, and it is up top there. Climb up there, you'll get a better view of it. Of course, we used a mount, and we put a little wedge in there too, because you'll see at the bottom there's a wedge, because Tiaras can have a tendency to run just a bit bow high, and that'll keep the radar nice and level for optimal performance. So that is done, and we've patched some holes in the arch and all done there. So we are just waiting to hear back from the customer if this layout will work for him, and if it does, we will go ahead and cut it up and get it to paint. Stay with us. Howdy folks, we're back on the Tiara. Helm still kind of looks the same up there. What we have done though is we've gone ahead, we've mounted the new ICOM M506 down on the port side there of the helm. What used to be there was the spotlight control, which we've moved over to the starboard side of the helm and eliminated that autopilot breaker which was there, which is no longer required. We've gone ahead and put the drink holder back in, and to the best of our ability, although we're not fiberglass folks, we've kind of covered up the holes that were there. Doesn't look too terrible, but to have it perfect, it really should be re-gel coated, and that'll be up to the owner, and he understands that. But for the time being, things are closed up and certainly looking a lot better than having that monstrosity of a VHF radio down there to the point where you couldn't even open the helm. Now the VHF is located here on the port side. The helmsman can use it, first mate can use it, microphone's an easy reach, so that's a big improvement itself. So we've been pulling more wires into the helm, extending the antenna cable, miscellaneous things to kind of get ready to lay out the helm. So just kind of want to give you a heads up here of what we've been doing so far, and stay tuned. Howdy folks, George Shively back with you. Just want to kind of show you the layout of the helm here. Everything has been measured and everything is equidistant at the top to the top edge of the new aluminum plate that will be going on the Tiara helm. Everything is equidistant from left to the right side, and then we have our three instruments in the center. The one on the right, of course, is the remote, which allows you to select between displays and control that display. The top is the 711C autopilot, and the bottom is the FI-70 data display. So just kind of show you here what it looks like. Just this process, just laying everything out and, you know, double checking everything with, you know, the old reliable adjustable square so that it's, you know, within 0.5 millimeter. Takes some time, and to do it right and to have everything laid out properly, so after it's painted and the gear goes in, it looks just swell. So just kind of want to give you an idea of what we're doing here. Stand by. Howdy folks, we are back. I kind of want to show you some progress we've made so far. The Ethernet hub is installed. The autopilot brain is installed next to the tube there where the wires are coming out from the engine room. The fuse block is installed. Everything, as you'll notice, has little tags on it that says what it's for. This is critical, folks, because when you have a problem and it's time to start troubleshooting, if you don't know what all of these connections are for, or your technician doesn't know, it's going to cost you a whole lot more money than if everything is identified and it's clear as to what the path may be. So that's kind of important. Also too, if you'll take a look at the back of the helm here, the back of the helm is still very neat. All of our wiring, with the exception of a couple Ethernet cables, is in place. So the back of the helm is still very clean, very neat, not nearly a mess. So we have some wires hanging here that are going to be going into our new displays when we get our panel back that we've cut out from paint. I want to show you what this looks like from the front here, so stand by for just a minute. So there is our electrical panel right there that again is all labeled. We know what's what. There's our Ethernet hub back there. At this point we only have our radar connected, our connection for our brain for our autopilot, and the NEMA 2000 connection up top there. So just kind of want to show you how things are looking thus far. We expect our plate back here in a couple days from paint, and then we will make our connections. So stay tuned. Hi folks, George Shively back with you here on the Tiara. Just kind of wanted to give you an overall shot here of how things look. Ignore the blinking screen there. That's a function of the camera and the smartphone that I'm using. Radar on one, chart on the other. These are Furuno NavNet TZ Touch 2 systems. Take off the cover here on the remote control that we put on. Of course, in the middle there is a NavPilot 711C. Below that's an FI-70 data display. And down here we have our M506 VHF radio, properly programmed with an MMSI and integrated to the GPS system so that it has a proper fix. So that's how we look here on the display. Turned out looking, or on the helm rather, turned out looking real nice. Laid out nicely, lots of equipment in a pretty decent space, but we fit in lots of gear. And we're using the new DR4D NXT radar, and that guy is right here, and doing a nice job. Put it on a little mount with a wedge, which helps keep it at the proper look angle going forward, so we're not as much looking for birds as looking for issues where we might hit something or somebody might hit us. So kind of final look here on the Tiara. That's how it turned out. Beautiful sunny day here today in Cleveland. So again, ignore the flashing there. That's just a function of the camera. And we're all set. So as always, George Shively, South Shore Marine Electronics. If you wish to call us, it's 216-407-6553. And our email address is southshoremaриneelectronics@oh.rr.com. Thanks very much for following us on this install.